Hey everyone, welcome to Limbo. My name is Joe and I'm your host, and today I have the pleasure to share a conversation I had with Braden Blaker a few months ago. So, Braden can be described as the youngest talent manager in the world, and I know that that's a big claim, but he backs it up. Braden is a teenager that has built a bunch of businesses across a multitude of areas, all of them related with marketing, with social media, some of them with music, and more recently with just branding, etc. He's such a good content creator. He's on top of everything that's the last technologies, etc. He's also he really enjoys joking around and he's also extremely mature for his age. And it's amazing that I got to be one of Braden's guides. He's actually one of my students. Last year, he's a rock star in my creative entrepreneurship class, and since then we kind of kept touch, even though I'm no longer teaching him. But he's still part of our school, the Socratic Experience, and he's doing like amazingly. And so, of course, when I started this podcast, I knew that one of the guests that I really wanted to have was Braden, to showcase how what's possible to build if you're a teenager with high agency and high ambition. And so he's of course very mature for his age, but still it was a very good conversation, I feel like. I'm just happy that I got to hang out with him. Basically, it was great to see how quick we let go of these notions of guide and student or whatever, and we could just hang out and have a deep conversation, which hopefully you guys will enjoy. So make sure that you follow Braden on his social media, follow him on all of the different projects. All of those links are in the description. And yeah, that's it. Before we go, a quick word for our sponsors. Of course, the first one is the Socratic Experience, the school where I met Braden and where I teach my classes. We're trying to revolutionize education by teaching a bunch of different classes based on the Socratic method. You can find out more about us at thesocraticexperience.com. Then, of course, Contexto, the nonprofit that allows for Limbo to exist. And the third and last one, the restaurant that gives name to the podcast, Limbo in Lisbon. If you're in Lisbon and you check out Limbo restaurant, make sure that you said that you were sent there by João, the upstairs neighbor, and maybe you'll get a discount. Not sure. That being said, I hope you enjoy my conversation with Braden Blake. Hey everyone, welcome to the show. My name is João and I'm here today with Braden Blaker. Braden, welcome to Limbo. How are you?
I'm very good. I'm very good. I fortunately was able to come back to New York. It is super sad what's going on in Los Angeles with the wildfires. My heart goes out to all my friends that lost their home and are my friends that are also in the evacuation zones.
Yeah.
And I really hope that everyone can find shelter and evacuate if you're told to do so. And I'm honestly just praying every day for everyone that I know that's still in LA. So
Yeah.
yeah, sad
Yeah,
note to
dude.
start the pod, but
Yeah,
true
but
one.
but 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 it is what it is. Like you can go away. Like it's one of those things that you cannot not talk about, right? And we were mentioning before pressing record, like your experience there. I was mentioning like a couple of people that I've met that also lost their homes, and it's like it's tragic. And like the lady that I met at this fancy bar, she kept saying, "Well, ads will roll," because like my like she was saying that, well, my neighbors are people like the Kardashians and all of them, they're losing their homes, and it's like those people will not stop until someone is punished. And so hopefully, like I'm not advocating for ads rolling or anything like that, but hopefully, like, whatever happened and the responsibles for whatever is happening, like, get what they deserve, basically. But
Yeah, I
yeah.
mean, I think we're gonna see a huge change in the political landscape of California. I think that people are really upset with both the mayor, and then
Yeah.
obviously Gavin Newsom,
Yeah, the
uh,
senator.
with you know with just how everything's being handled. So I mean, I do think that people are fed up with the political landscape of California, and
Yeah.
there is always that level of responsibility with the people in power, and it's unfortunate how the events have come, and I don't think anyone thinks that the way they've responded to the fires have been valid.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Like, I saw a clip of the government saying basically like he was being interviewed by someone, and he was like, well, that's not our job. Like like a couple of things, like I don't remember what it was, but like there was some kind of problem, and he was like, well, that's not our job. And I'm like, I don't know how it happens in the US, but in Portugal, if something like at that dimension, of course, it doesn't happen at
Yeah.
that dimension, but like we had a couple of like very wild fires here that also took the homes of a lot of people. It was like one of the it was the biggest fire that we've ever had, actually, other than the earthquake that we've had a couple of years ago. And like if someone like said, well, it's not my fault or it's not my work, I mean, those people would be absolutely trashed by everyone else, because it's like it's your
Yeah.
job, you need to take responsibility, right?
Well, I mean, you have a place where you're paying, 50% taxes. I mean, you're literally paying $50,000 on 100K or $500,000 on a million. And I mean, you could just imagine how much wealth is in Los Angeles.
Yeah,
I mean, it's hundreds of millions, if not billions of dollars going just to the California government. And there wasn't water in the fire hydrants, right?
yeah,
Or there weren't enough firefighters to help put out the fires and create containment. The
yeah,
fires aren't done yet, Joel. I mean, it's been over a week
yeah,
now. The
yeah, I know,
fire
I know, I know.
they're not done at all. I don't want to say not done at all. Like there is level of containment depending on the fire, and some have been put out, which is amazing. And the firefighters are the true heroes, and I think a lot of it is mismanagement of funds. And
Yeah,
we're seeing, I think that in a lot of different ways this year we're seeing mismanagement of funds. Not even from a political perspective. Like I'm not even coming from that perspective, but we saw, one of the biggest mismanagements of funds was, the Kamala Harris campaign, and the fact that they went into debt. Of I
mm,
think it was in or around $20 million after the campaign. They were asking for funding because they went over budget, and I mean we're just you don't want to be led by people that can't that can't manage funds, because at the end of the day, government is a business, right? So
no,
it's all about money and balancing the books, and that's a big
yeah.
fundamental.
I think that saying that the government is a business is a polemic trait, a polemic thing to say. I'm not disagreeing with you. I just feel like I can see a lot of people looking at it like, no, the government is not supposed to be a business
Yeah,
and stuff like that. But yeah, well, I don't know. But this is such a great example of why I wanted to talk with you. Like you're what, 16, 17?
17. Yeah, yeah, for a few more days.
17. Yeah, for a few more days. Exactly. I know your birthday in January, right?
18 soon. Yeah.
Yeah, I thought I had that in the back of my mind. So you're 17, but your understanding of the landscape of society, especially when it comes to politics and business, is like extremely high. Like and and I've mentioned this in the intro, but like you were my student at the Socratic experience, and I absolutely loved having you as a student because you carry so much knowledge about business, but also one of the things that I really admire about someone that that's an entrepreneur and that's starting things is that capacity of connecting whatever you're doing with bigger landscapes. So it's not just if I'm working on social media, the only thing that I care about is social media. And it's like, of course, you're obsessed with that, and we're definitely going to talk about it. But it's like you're also able to understand, well, what's the political landscape? What's the so like the landscape of the site right now, and how can I integrate these things in my business? So we've tried to do this a couple of times. It didn't work out on schedules, but hopefully we're here now. And I guess my first question is, do you think that that's something like that maturity and that level of understanding and development? Do you think that that's something that's natural to you, or is that something that you developed over time?
Yeah. So sorry, I'm getting over a little bit of like LA cold or something. But yeah, no,
Yeah.
so that's a great question. I think that it's I think there's a level of like talent, and then there's a level of like hard work, right? So I think that some people are born where they might be a little more talented at speaking or communicating and getting their thoughts across. I
Hmm.
think I'm grateful to I feel like I land in that boat of
Yeah.
having maybe a higher level for my age of being able to communicate to people and getting my ideas across. I would also say that it also, I think kids are on a scale nowadays of levels of curiosity towards business, and I think that due to both my parents being in the business space and being entrepreneurs, and really just growing up in that environment of business and making deals and conference calls and waking up at 5 a.m. and going to bed at 1, like just the grind mindset.
Yeah.
Being around that, it just became normal to me. So
Yeah.
it's not something that is crazy that I wake up, I go to bed at 1, wake up at 6, or whatever the crazy schedule is, just to put in the hours and put in the reps. I think that I was lucky to get gifted like the ability to speak and the level of curiosity, and then the hard work is waking up every day when I don't want to do it. And
Yeah.
when I have I honestly am very blessed and lucky to be in the privileged place I am, where like I've been able to generate revenue off of doing social media and management, all these things. Where I mean, I know a lot of people that just get lazy, right, and like don't want to wake up and like do shit and just work, because I mean, money is comfort, right? So you can get comfortable and be like, I'm going to go to this trip, or I'm going to go to this
Yeah.
place. All my friends went to trips during the 2 weeks off for Christmas, and I just worked,
Yeah.
because to me, it's like that's half a month where I can get ahead of my competition, and
Hmm.
that's half a month where I can put in the reps and really just keep grinding. And that I feel like is what is going to put you ahead of your competition and everyone else in this space. And it's a cutthroat industry, right? So
Yeah. Yeah, especially because the whole thing around social media and social media marketing and management, as you were saying, like managing influencers, that's a space where there's a lot of people doing a lot of things, right? So you
yeah,
need to be absolutely like grinding in order to get to the point where you are at. Because like I remember talking with this about a friend where we were talking about the differences between being European and Americans, and one of those differences is that is like, well, Europeans, we do enjoy way more our, like the relaxed time and enjoying the pleasures of life, etc. Well, whereas a lot of Americans are like, well, it's business time, it's go time all the time. And now, and we were discussing this, and I was telling him that I feel like the like, because he was saying, well, we could learn with you guys, we could learn with Europeans, and I totally agree. Like, I feel like a lot of Americans do need to chill out a bit with with some Europeans, where it's like, well, grab a glass of wine or do something like that. Not you, because you're not old enough to drink, but like, do stuff that makes you more fun. But there's a certain type of personality and a certain type of people that have like these very clear goals, where it's like, I would never say to those people, you know what, chill out a bit. I would say like, keep going, because you clearly want that and you need to work hard on that, and you're clearly like one of those people. Like, one of the things that I always felt is like, you have this extreme hunger for, it's not even for money, it's just for, like being able to do whatever you put your mind into. And I guess that my question is, do you think that that hunger is also part of like the natural things that you have, like the capacity to articulate thoughts and the high curiosity? Do you think that joining to those two things that are natural, do you think that
yeah,
that anger for achieving is that natural, or was it something that you developed over time?
yeah. So I mean, the same. I think just like everything, like I'll guess I'll keep giving like the same type of thought, but my thought is that some of it is kind of baked into you, right? Like I think there's a certain
Yeah.
level of getting that hunger and kind of like fire under your ass baked into you. For me specifically, and I'll always go back to this. A big part of it was that I wanted to make my own money, and not. I guess I personally just get turned off of people that use their parents' money, or like use their, I mean, just pretty much using their parents' credit card or money to do things.
Yeah.
I was just always super turned off by that. Even as like a kid, like if someone would excessively spend like using their parents' money, that just wasn't something that like made that person, or made me want to be friends with that person.
Yeah.
Or going to LA the first couple of times, and I would see people buying stuff with their parents' money, or really leaning on their bank account, and almost like flexing shit they're getting with their parents' money. You know what I mean? It's like
Yeah.
it's like not cool to me at all. So
Yeah.
I think that also made it really an interesting thing, where it's like, okay, I want to have my own money, and I want to have freedom, and really have a choice of what I do with my money. Because there's a difference between now, if someone asks me for money, or if I want to invest in a stock, or if I want to do something with my money, I have the complete freedom to do what I want to do, right?
Yeah.
Whereas if you're living off your parents' money, right, at 17, which I mean 99% of people are, in theory, um, you're not in control, right? You don't have freedom with the money until you're 18, and they give you
Yeah.
like a separate bank account. So I think that's a huge reason. I think a lot of it is like just grinding, and the hunger grows. I feel like when you're down in the trenches working at a business, and just working your ass off, and you get hungry for that success, right? I mean, you're in all that pain and all that, in the hard parts of building out an agency or building out a product and building out a business. And you keep developing that hunger because you're like, fuck, man, I really want to make this happen. Like this needs to
Yeah.
happen. Like I'm gonna will this into existence.
Yeah. That's such a great answer. So let's start with your journey. So, I mean, as you were saying, like both of your parents are entrepreneurs. Like you've grown up with that mentality, with that reality. Actually, seeing like people going, like doing deals, doing conferences, calls, like having that grind mindset. How did you decide to set up, like, to start in business? Like, tell me your story.
Yeah, so yeah, no, I got you. So yeah, I mean, I definitely am not the best at articulating my story, but I'll give it a go. So
Why?
pretty much, I feel like it's there's so many different parts to it that it's
Got
like
it.
it's difficult to figure out like the best way to tell it. But I guess
Yeah,
like the
yeah,
overview of everything is that I grew up just loving music and loving business. I mean I have videos I can send you to cut in that I'm like 6 or 7 years old. My dad showing me, a pitch deck for a business, and I'm pretty much like goo goo gagaing at the pitch deck. Probably not giving a lot of meaningful insight, but I just remember like he would show me the pitch deck, and I mean, I would give comments, right? And from like a very young age, and that just felt very normal. Where my mom would be working on a pitch, when she was super high up at iHeartRadio, and she would show me that stuff of like literally launching like a whole new event category for them. She would show me like what that was going to look like, and I would give ideas. And then my dad would show me bands in town, which was a big thing for him. He would show me the decks for that and the product they're working on, which I think now it reaches like over 150 million users or something crazy. I'm not sure, but
yeah.
so looked at both of those, and then just growing up, I love music. I was in 3 to 4 plays a year, which is kind of like another crazy side quest. But I mean, literally like lived and breathed theater and music. I had a band when I was like 7 through 12, and we did
Wow.
like we did shows in New York City. We would a couple hundred people in the city, and
What did you
did that
play?
as we played the Cutting Room, and
No, no, no,
I
no. What
sang,
did
I
you play?
sang,
What's?
I
Oh,
sang.
you sang?
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah. So
wow.
singing and
I didn't know
songwriting.
that.
Yeah, so that's like one thread throughout my life, the singing and songwriting. So then I started going to French Woods, which is one of the top music camps in the world. So I went there for a few years and ended up meeting one of the camp counselors for me was this guy named Augie. And Augie was getting into producing, and I was, refining my songwriting skills and business skills. So me and Augie teamed up, and I introduced him to my dad, which was kind of the missing piece for him to start posting his music because he wanted, I felt like he needed like a mentor to kind of push him in
Mm,
the right direction of getting
yeah.
music out. Um, so we started working together, and my dad was consulting for a music company, and they at the time, this like a few years ago, wasn't as popular or cool to like have influencers on board. So they had a few
Yeah.
content creators on board at the company, and one of them who was a TikToker with a few million followers wanted to get really deep into music, and at the time had maybe a song or two out, but didn't really know what he was doing exactly with positioning for his music career and know where he wanted to go with it. So I got connected with that content creator, and from there me and that content creator and Augie, we did a week in LA. We helped with making a bunch of songs for him. Let's say his song had like 10,000 streams previously, that EP got a couple 100,000 streams,
Awesome.
which was great and super exciting. And when I was out in LA, I met my business partner, or soon to be business partner, Ryan, who helped in building out Chosen, which I've told you a lot about, Joao, of like the building of that. but Chosen was what I believe to be one of the first of its kind in influencer, music company,
100%.
where, working with, some top and really cool and passionate content creators and doing literally everything a record label would do. I mean, making the music, helping with, parts of the marketing, songwriting, producing, finding studios, scouting producers, finding songwriters. So
Yeah.
built that out to having, at the top of that, we had about 5 different clients, which was really cool. And probably dropped about 10 or so songs, with some of them getting millions of streams. And I actually heard one of them in a Starbucks, which was really cool. It was a song I
So
wrote, so I was like, okay, this is cool. Like we did something dope. I was in
yeah.
LA. I was like walking through the mall and I heard the song in the Starbucks. I was like, holy shit, that's crazy. Like they're letting like a 17-year-old written song in the Starbucks. So I think they have to raise their bar a little bit for the music, but fine. But yeah, so did that, and then through the process of Chosen, I realized I really like this. Like I like the connection with the creators. I like working with them, and the music's cool. But at most, they're gonna drop 3 songs a year, or maybe one album. And how do I work with these creators all year? So I met a guy named Asher, who's amazing and still, one of my close friends and clients. And we started working together about a year ago. And about so I started working with Asher about a year ago, and then 10 months ago, I was brought on to Fixated, bringing in Asher to help build out, their talent management side with a few other great guys. Shout out to Zach, shout out to Jason, um, just great people. So I joined Fixated about 10 months ago, helped bring on, Kanel Joseph and help with some other creators, and became certifiably the youngest talent manager in the world and of all time to this date. If a 16-year-old wants to come for me, they can. That's fine. But I still hold the record of youngest talent manager, so I'll just keep mentioning that until I don't have the
Yes.
record. Um,
Yes.
because it was 23, so I knocked it down by
Can,
6 years. So I feel
can,
like,
can you imagine like you at 40, like, you know what, I know that I'm 40, but I'm actually the youngest talent manager in
oh,
the world since
100%.
2000.
Oh, fuck yeah. No, because I'm thinking for someone to make as dramatic of a drop, they went from 23 to 17, so they would have to be 11 years old to do that big of a drop in age of what I
Yeah, the
did.
drop. Yeah, the drop is hard. The drop is hard. Even if
So
a 16-year-old steals
I
your job, you're
no,
like, well, but
I'm
that's
telling
just
you,
one
Joel.
year,
So,
so
so
fuck you.
30 years from now, when I have an 11-year-old kid, he's going to be the youngest talent manager.
That's
I'm
the kind
thought,
of,
yeah.
yeah, yeah.
And then
Like,
his kid will be 8 years old and be the youngest talent manager.
God,
So I'm
how
telling you,
like
that's
like the next step will be crazy. Like with a 5 year old just managing
oh yeah, oh yeah, like a
talent. Yeah,
like a it'll be in the
yeah,
stomach or something, like not even
yeah.
born.
Already with the phone
So
saying, you know what, you need to.
oh yeah, they'll be like on their iPad doing $1 million
Yeah,
deals or something.
yeah,
So
exactly.
so built that out, worked that Fixated, great experience. Learned so much. I mean, I feel like I got a master's in talent management and working with literally the top creators in the world. Like who can fucking say that out of working with one creator or having chosen that I got to work with the top creators in the world, like the
Yeah,
top female creator, the top male creator, like just a fucking insane experience, right?
yeah,
And knock on wood, blessed for that. And then about 5 or 6 months ago, I left that with still working with Canel and still working with Asher full time, as management clients who were my two near and dear friends and also clients, and built out blackermedia.co, which shout out, look up blackermedia.co, is my you know we do so many things at this point where I
yeah,
don't even want to call it a talent management business, but I like to say that, we're a growth partner for businesses. We do talent management as a service at the highest level. Like, I think that's just different than a lot of businesses. A lot of businesses can't say they do hands-on like white glove talent management where it's like, wow, you have a fucking person in your corner. Like I'm at the
yeah,
boxing matches, you know what I mean? I'm at
yeah,
I'm at your game. I'm at the school dances. I'm helping you
yeah,
with everything, right? Um, so we do full talent management for Canel and Asher and some other clients, which Canel's killing it, Asher's killing it. So I'm so blessed to have those two as clients. I mean, Canel's becoming like one of the biggest male YouTubers, like point hands down, and now we're taking over Twitch. So he's, the 60 something fastest growing Twitch channel right now. Gained over,
Awesome.
close to 100,000, followers this month on Twitch, which is huge. Getting streams, he had a stream that crossed over 10,000 live viewers, which is amazing. And Asher's killing it on YouTube and TikTok, doing, over 100 million views per platform right now. So,
Yeah.
that's all amazing. And yeah, so I mean, the things we're doing right now, we have, the talent management arm, and then we have the content strategy arm where, I've helped Charge Chocolate and, Scent Marketing and a lot of amazing brands with their, social presence and online marketing, which is so much fun. I love doing that and helping with, ad creative, coming up with content ideas, social strategy, all those fun type of things. I have, off call, I have a lot of clients that I'm onboarding right now, which is super exciting that, I think 2025 will be such a year of growth for that side of the business, which is
Yeah.
amazing. And then the third thing is, I've started working with extremely talented guy, Nick Oliveri, as well as my dad, to do very high level growth and business strategy for startups. So we have
Awesome.
Nick is just a killer in the capital space. He's a partner, and at a company called Concordia Capital, where they've done over 75 high level transactions, and they raise anywhere from 5 million to 250 million or 500 million in capital raises, and I mean, just great. And then we kind of have a setup where we come in and literally help grow businesses, where we have the marketing end where I help with, the capital end where Nick helps with, and the business strategy where my dad helps with. So that's a new offer that we've been doing, and we already have a few clients, which is great. We're building out that consulting firm side of Blacker Media, which is just super exciting.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, those are kind of the three things. And then yeah, let me shoot away. Sorry for the long answer. Sorry
No,
guys.
no, no, that was beautiful, and it's like it's perfect because it showcases like the different phases of your life when you're like 17, about to turn 18, which is great. And like I remember when before you joined Fixated, you were actually we were still like having classes, and I remember perfectly because I even remember where I was teaching that class because I was in the street, I was doing it at a cafe, and I told you that I feel like it's great that you're doing that because you were really excited. And I told you that it's great that you're doing that. Just make sure that you have the freedom to walk away whenever you want to, because like I since the moment that I saw you, I was like, if you're being, it's great, it's such a great learning experience, but I know that you'll want way more than that in a short period of time. And so when you told me a couple of months ago where he was like, well, I'm no longer fixated, I'm working on a new thing, my own, I don't think that you had like the Blaker Media name yet. I'm not sure when you
Oh
told me
fuck no.
that.
I mean, it's like
Yeah,
definitely.
yeah. So but when you told me that, I was like, fuck yeah, that like, and it's nothing against like fixated or anything like that, but it's just like I
Yeah.
feel like you're like the way you're tailored, basically, like that junction of nature and nurture is like you had to have one thing that's your own, and you can grow as much as you want to with all of the freedom in terms of strategy, in terms of like the kind of clients that you want to work on, how you want to proceed. And so I'm really like deeply excited for you, but also grateful that I get to be like part of your like journey, because I told you this, like I feel like if I had a system to bet on people, like I would definitely bet on you because I feel like you're doing such an amazing job. And
Thank
so going back to a little bit of fixated and working with the biggest creators in the world, you mentioned that you learned a lot with that, and I guess my question is, what are some of the lessons that you took from there that really helped like up your game? Where it's like, okay,
you.
I
Yeah.
had this understanding, I went there, and now I have this understanding.
100%. Yeah, I think one of them is just being, part of a team. I think
Mm,
is something that's just a new experience, right? Or it was a new experience. And learning how to just flow with a bunch of people, right? And having a business where there's people in accounting that you're friends with, there's people that are in the talent management side that you're friends with, and understanding how to be part of a team and like learning that function of a business, and just learning company culture of
mm,
having weekly meetings with different parts of the team, and just I mean, I learned YouTube at an even higher level, right? I mean, I learned from people that have made, millions and millions of dollars off of their understanding of YouTube and building YouTube channels and, working with, the biggest content creators in the world and people that like the smartest content strategists in the world, right? Like people that understand YouTube at a higher level than me,
Yeah.
or now maybe at the same level as me. But I mean, I think the biggest thing I got was, just keep working on my communication skills, dealing, with people that are extreme intellectuals that, really know how to talk and communicate themselves, and
Mm.
learning how to pitch creators to businesses, and how to make a compelling offer to businesses, and the whole process, of running brand deals and brand partnerships, and keeping the business happy and keeping the brand happy and keeping the talent happy, and you know understanding that going from just serving yourself and the talent to then serving yourself, a business, and the talent, right? You're growing, you're part of a being part of a revenue line and being part of projections and being part of a team that's essentially being doing some sales type of activities where you're
Mm.
selling ad placements and doing stuff that's definitely different than just running a talent agency by yourself where
Yeah.
you're just focused on yourself and the talent.
Yeah, that's a great answer. And so, when you started Blaker Media, and you just mentioned like there were a bunch of different things that you guys started to do right now, and I'm assuming that the project has the process has been organic, like bottom up, where it's like as you go along, you're figuring out what are the things that you can do, other streams of revenue, etc.
Super organic. I mean, my thing was like no asshole policy, where I just don't want to work with any talent that I don't like or work with any businesses
Mm.
that I don't like. So that cuts out a lot of people, right? Because there's really high egos in both, right? Like when it comes to startups, you could have a founder that just had a huge exit and he has a huge ego, right? I mean, I don't
Yeah.
want to. I personally don't want to work with them. Or a content creator that has a huge ego. They could make me a lot of money, right? But if they have a huge ego or are just like negative or whatever the thing is, I don't want to work with them. So I mean, everything's been organic. It's been friendships. It's been relationships. A lot of it, I think, is events and travel.
Mm.
I have never. I traveled. I took more trips in 2024 than I have my whole life. I mean, I feel like that does make sense, right? Because I wasn't
Yeah.
doing like business at this level, but I mean, literally like multiple flights a week, like just craziness. And I think a lot of that led to just meeting people at events and creators that see what I'm doing in terms of helping people with YouTube and brand deals and creating interest there organically. And then brands want my knowledge of social media and my work with creators and how I make them cool or how I help them with strategy and production and brand deals, and they want that to kind of translate and create the coolness factor for their brand, which makes total
Yeah.
sense. Um, one second.
Totally fine.
My father walked in. Okay.
That's fine.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
he dropped. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I'm ready to
No.
shoot.
Okay. Totally fine. So I there's two themes that I want to explore right now, in terms
I'm
of,
ready.
in this conversation. The first one is like social media, and the second one is like I guess like yourself, and how can people learn from you, and if other people are watching and they want to like be more onto the market and understand better like how to position themselves as entrepreneurs, as talent, whatever it is, like what lessons do you have. But let's start first with social media. So like one of the things that I found fascinating around social media is the fact that the platforms work exactly the same way for everyone. So if I go and I create something on YouTube, I actually have the same platform that any like that Mr. Beast. So it really is about the quality of what I'm doing and how easy it is for other people to enjoy it and share it, etc. So I feel like it's a great leveling field, and that's why a lot of people, they can make money doing like content. Uh, and I find that fascinating. But the thing is, there's people that do what they do at a level that just allows them to like expand way more. And I guess that my first question is like, I don't want you to give your secrets away. But if I'm a content creator, and if I'm trying to build my brand, if I'm trying to build my business, if I'm trying to build my content, like, what should I do? Like, what are some of the basic things that I really need to do, and maybe what are some of the things that I shouldn't be doing?
Yeah. So I'll give a couple thoughts. So yeah. So I think that, and like honestly, like there's there's no secret sauce to anything specifically, right? Like I think that it's just like coding, or it's just like building a business, right? Like I would give different advice when I'm talking to, my dating app client than I would if I'm talking to my cybersecurity client, right?
Of
Because
course.
they have very different issues. So I'd say the same thing here. You know, I what I'm very good at is taking something that is good and making it great,
Mm,
or tweaking a concept. What I'd say is like the first step to blowing up, or I think blowing up or going viral, however you want to position that, is to start getting the reps in the gym. You need to start working out. So
mm,
the first thing is that you need to start working out and posting just what you think is cool. So what does Joao think is cool? Does he want to make business content? Do you want to make music content, right? First you have to start getting those reps in. And then content strategy, which is what I'd say I do, or content optimization or retention strategy, or all the things I can help with, that comes after the fact. So
mm.
you've started kind of getting those reps in. I want to see you kind of fail, right? Like I want to see you just
Of
start
course.
posting
Wrong.
shit that you like. So it has to start from like authentically you like what you're doing, and then I come in and I'll start giving you tweaks, and it'll start to work a little better, and then you'll keep going. Things may not work, and then I'll give you more tweaks and it'll work a little bit better. And I mean that's kind of the process. Like
So,
it's yeah.
sorry, what kind of when you say tweaks, like, what kind of things are you mentioning? Like, is it
Yeah,
about the
so
titles? So, yeah,
yeah, so I can go like through like specific examples. So let's
yeah,
say,
that would be
if I'm
perfect.
working on a YouTube video, we'll do these brain dumps where I'll get, the footage after the video is edited, and me and my client will pretty much sit there and make a full Google document, pretty much ripping the video to shit on, what we think could be better. So there's a couple different components to a video. One is obviously the flow of the scenes. So imagine a YouTube video is like a movie. The flow of the scenes is, how long each scene is, how long each person's talking. That's like level one. And then level two is, the background music, all the sound effects, and we seriously like rip it to shit. Like, I mean, we write down notes of like the music's too soft, the music's too loud. This person should, not be talking this long. And we go through it and meticulously edit the video to our best understanding of how we think we can keep the most retention and the most eyeballs in the video for the longest amount of time. Um, so that's like my thoughts on long form. And then after the video, so like the post production or once it's posted, it really comes down to tweaking the packaging. And what YouTube video packaging means is the combination of the thumbnail and the title. So the thumbnail is the cover photo of the YouTube video or the image you see when you're scrolling, and that alone is 50%. So packaging is considered 50% of what makes a video successful. So, I mean, we spend, hours and tons of money on just getting multiple options for the thumbnail and, coming up with multiple title ideas, because I've had videos that, maybe get 50K views, and then we tweak the packaging and it gets 500,000 views. And,
Yeah.
what that comes down to is, doing a ton of A/B testing. YouTube has great tools now. You can A/B test directly in the app now, and
Awesome.
having multiple variations. But I think with long form content, it's a lot of packaging tweaks and retention strategy and studying the retention graphs of your last video, and doing stuff that's different but pretty similar, and keeping stuff kind of in a series, or building out the different IPs or brands, right? Where it's like,
Mm,
if you do a cooking show, then you can study the retention graphs of your last videos and see where the viewer drop off was. That's where you can really get into tweaks of understanding, like, hey, they really don't like the segment where you're just explaining the ingredients. Okay, how do we cut that out and change the segment? Or how do we add music to that? How do we add, a visual pacifier where there's like an image on screen or a video on screen that, makes it interesting, where it's like maybe we have two angles at that moment.
Mm.
It's a lot of studying retention graphs of like what's not working and figuring out how we can substitute it for something that's going to work better and keep on viewers. With short form, I think, a lot of it comes down to seeing what's trending, and it comes down to the concept, right? Like I think it's a lot less about necessarily tweaking, and it's a lot more about like finding what concepts are currently performing well, whether,
Mm.
it's interview clips. Like I know interview style works really well for a lot of people, and I've blown up pages using that style. I blew up my own page to 60,000 followers in less than a few months doing that style, and getting over five right about like 50 or 60 million views doing interviews, just on my Instagram, and then more on TikTok and YouTube. But I think it comes down to the concept and coming up with a creative concept and way to present yourself. But I think it depends on the person. Like, I have people message me all the time asking for, short form ideas, and I'll write up concepts for them. But I mean, I think it really depends on the person. I think that having an amazing hook is so important, both a verbal and a visual hook. So, having something visually interesting, like if I'm just like, hey, every morning you should comb your hair, that's okay because that's a verbal hook, right? But if I'm like, every morning you should comb your hair and I have a comb, it's a lot fucking
Mm.
better, right?
Yeah.
So you want to have a verbal hook. You also want to have a visual hook. And then, depending on the type of content, like if it's a video of you just talking to the camera, then, I can go more into depth of like, where you should put the text. Like the text should be, a few inches below your chin. And, the images should also be in that zone. And there's, people have studied the different zones of where the text should be and where the images should be, and, how loud the music should be. There is definitely a science to all of that. But I think a lot of short form content just comes down to how good the concept is, and whether, maybe it's the original factor, maybe it's, it's a trend and you're doing a spin on it.
Mm-hmm.
For me, it was just, I would just come up with super original short form ideas that, were authentic to me, and I found funny myself. And if I did
Yeah.
something that was authentic and funny, it was always successful for, for me
Yeah.
at least.
Yeah, that's beautiful. So how do you come up with your own concepts? Like how's your process of, coming up with ideas for content?
Yeah. So once again, I think it like really depends on who I'm working with. Like, let's say for me, for example, like when I'm making my own content for my Instagram page now, where it's like
Yeah.
business related and social media growth related. Usually, I'm giving, this is like really my secret sauce, because I just don't give like copy me, you know what I mean? Like, good luck,
Mm.
you know what I mean? Just
Mm.
kidding. But so my current process right now is, me and one other guy that I'm friends with, we literally just like study YouTube videos. So my thought, and this is kind of like my process, is that I try to watch a few hours of different like podcasts, interviews, YouTube videos, whether it's a sit down interview with the head of Meta, Mark Zuckerberg, whether it's a sit down
Mhm.
interview with, the CEO of Instagram, whether it's, a sit down interview with, higher up at YouTube, or, sometimes I'll even get to talk to these people, right? Like,
Yeah.
I a week or two ago I was on last week, sorry, I was on with like a YouTube manager who, what they do is they work at YouTube and they talk to, the top performing creators on the platform, and they give a ton of insight
Mm.
and a ton of value. So I mean, I had this call last week. It was an hour long, and he brain dumped 2025 and like, what he thinks we should be optimizing for the channel, what we could be doing better, what, gave us our flowers, definitely said, hey, you guys are up 60% on, these different points, which was great.
Mm-hmm.
And that combination, I will then script, a 30 to 60-second brain dump of, you know, what I think you should be doing to like get started today, or
Yeah.
literally to get filming today and post tomorrow. That's kind of the mentality, and a lot of my content I'm giving, you know, sauce to. I want to hit two demographics. So one is like potential clients where I want them to understand, my knowledge and my strength in the space. And then
Yeah.
another is, I want to empower teen entrepreneurs, and, fellow content creators or business owners. I have kind of this weird mixture of business owners and like big content creators that follow me. Um, where, literally yesterday I was on a phone call with a content creator that was like, yo, your content's dope, keep doing it. But I was on the phone with a a highly successful business owner, who is just, a fucking killer. And he watched my content as well, and he was like, yo, I really like your content.
Yeah.
So it's like it's weird, and people are like, a lot of people will tell me to niche down or like do this or do that, but it's like I have those two audiences and they both like the content, so it's like I feel like I'm doing the right thing right now.
Yeah,
And yeah,
and
no,
probably and you understand this way better than me from a psychological standpoint. Like what I'm seeing is like there's definitely common values between those two types of people, right? And maybe what you're
yeah.
aiming at is not a specific demographic but actually a psychographic focused on that transcends ages, but it's like these people that care about these things and they vibe with my approach.
The overall vibe is like your business or your page is stale and like I want to make it cool again, right? Here's like easy tips or tricks you can do to kind of, I want them to be able to work less and get more out of it, right? With social media. So
Yeah.
the overall idea is like, hey, how do I, if you're a business owner or a content creator, they're both thinking, how do I get more out of less work, right? I mean, that's what everyone wants. If you're a
Yeah.
business owner, you have such little time where social media is a hassle, and the reason I get clients at all is because they don't want to spend the years studying social media like I have, right? That's why they
Hmm.
come to me because they're like, hey, let me just pay this guy who is, a, very, very high level at doing the social media stuff. He can do it, so I don't have to waste my time or spend my time doing it. And
Yeah.
the same thing with content creators, right? It's like I just come in because I know, to the lower, or not, let's not say lower, but I'm saying to maybe the smaller growing content creators or like, more mid-tier content creators, they, come to me because they know that I've worked with the top of the top and I know like what works for the biggest content creator in the world is going to work for a smaller content creator, right? And
Yeah.
they're going to need those tools eventually, if not now. So, that's kind of my 2 cents there.
Yeah, no, and I think that you just mentioned like one of the best strategies to come up with a business, which is like, well, people don't want to spend a year studying social media, so they hire you, and it's like I think that that's such a great approach to business, which is like, what is something that I can spend a year obsessed about and then turn into a business, and I
Yeah.
feel like with the internet, like that's one of the best tools that you have as an entrepreneur. It's like, and I'm putting this idea out there because it's something that has been on my mind for a while, and I don't want to be the one doing it, so if someone else is listening and wants a business idea, here it is.
So I was
Like
literally giving you
right,
$1 billion business idea right now.
I mean,
Lock
I'm
in.
not sure if it's $1 billion, but like part of what I feel like is going to happen is you have like very different generations right now in the marketplace coming together in all of these different companies. Like
Yeah.
startups are hiring, like they start by hiring new people and then they get older people because maybe it's a specific knowledge that they want or a specific experience, and like you'll have, my prediction is that you'll have clashes between these generations that will only get stronger as time goes by. So if someone is able to spend like a year studying just business culture, like how to come up with the best culture in a team, like what are some of the things that you can do in order to promote like the well-being of everyone, the communication styles, etc., and then you set a consulting firm where it's like just reach out to someone and say, well, I want to do an experiment with your team, and do like 2 or 3 companies for free, like where you implement the whatever you learn from. Then you set up a consulting business where you're basically trying to improve business culture. I feel like in the next 5 years, that's going to be a very, very wealthy business. And I'm saying that because, as you were saying, like I think that that's one of the best approaches that you can have in business, where it's like, what can I study for a full year? Where it's like business owners don't have time to do it. They don't have time to go and think, okay, so let me go and spend 6 months just understanding what is business culture and what are, I don't know, belonging cues and all these different psychological elements of what makes a good team. Like a lot of them have that naturally, but like spending the time doing that and then like offering it as a service, I feel like it's such a great way to set up businesses.
Yeah, no, I think you're totally right. That makes a ton of sense. And I think just coaching in general, or
Yeah.
anything where you can expedite the process. Money is transferable for time. So
Mm,
people prefer getting their time back, right? I mean, it's the same
yeah.
reason that people get the fast pass at Disneyland, or it's the same reason why the really wealthy people get the VIP experience at Disneyland, where they get walked to the front of the line, right, where they don't have
Yeah.
any at all. And it's the same thing, right, where you can you can struggle with social media and have an issue with branding and marketing, the social media aspect of things, or even the influencer marketing side of things, which I've helped businesses with as well. Or you can buy the VIP Disneyland experience, which is me coming in. I have the whole structure that I implement,
Yeah.
and it's pretty much like plug and play, right? Like let's get your business up and going.
Really? Yeah. So, before we go into you and your process and your day, etc., like, what are some of the predictions that you have for the next? Like, I'm not sure if we're able to make predictions for the next 5 years because like the pace of change right now is through the roof.
I don't even
But
know
like,
if we're
what are
gonna
some of
make
the
it out of
predictions?
2025. I don't know.
Yeah, exactly. So, what are some of what are some of your predictions like for the next, say, for 2025, in terms of social media and business?
Yeah, I mean, so social media and business, I think that, you know, I think we're going to see a lot of shift. I don't necessarily know who the winner is going to be, but I think that, there is going to be a push, and there already is a push in terms of all these companies that are, kind of the PG OnlyFans, like Passes, Fanfics, all of these, like, Patreon-esque platforms where,
Mm,
you can pay to, you know, I don't know, get extra Instagram photos from a girl you think is cute on TikTok, or
yeah,
get extra videos from a chef you really like.
yeah.
I think it's a great space. There's great people that run those companies, so I think that'll keep growing. I mean, OnlyFans is doing billions of
Mm,
dollars, and I think there is a want for the PG version of that, right? And like follow your favorite chef and pay them money. I mean, Patreon did so well, and I feel like there is a want for like the mobile version of that, but kind of a fresh version of that.
mm.
So I think that's cool. I think that's a cool niche. I think that crypto gambling and online gambling is going to be massive in 2025. Just keep growing. I mean, you
Absolutely.
see Stake and all these companies that are killing it. And then now you're seeing betting platforms like Kalshi or Polymarket that you can bet on
All in
elections. You can
market.
bet
Yeah.
on all these things that are great. I mean, I bet I made some money on the election, which is great. We love to see that.
Yeah. Polymarket is
Uh,
great. Like, the just props to them. Like, I feel like I don't know who talked to me about it, but it's like because I always associated betting with sports, etc. Someone was like, well, but
yeah.
you have a good view of the political landscape. Why don't you go and bet on that? And like, how the fuck do you do that? And like, there's this website, and Polymarket is fucking great for that. And you can make like, I mean, I'm not sure if you're making like $1 million on Polymarket, depending on what you're doing, but like you can make like a, a good amount of money just by having a basic understanding of like how politics and business and trends are. But yeah, sorry, I
Yeah,
cut you
I
off.
think it's interesting. No, 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 it's all good. I mean, I think it's so interesting. I mean, Donald Trump Jr. just joined the board of, or is a strategic advisor for Kalshi, so I think that's interesting.
Yeah,
Kalshi and Polymarket both did like significant amounts of money during the election.
yeah.
Shout out to Kalshi for for the money after the election. That was good. But 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 no, I mean honestly, yeah, I mean it's just such an interesting space. I think that's really cool. I think we're gonna see a content shift. We're in such a quantity game now where it used to be like very quality content, but now with streamers, there's just so much content. So it's gonna be interesting to see like how that pans out over the next year. With just so much content flowing. Shout out to Canelami, he's killing the quantity game, just getting so many clips out on YouTube. Um, and I see I guess I'll gatekeep a little bit on some things, but I mean, I think that there's gonna be like sports that really pop up on YouTube this year, like some unique ones
Mm,
that you're not thinking of. Maybe I'll give my little hinty hint. So I think the sports world is gonna be super interesting on like YouTube and those platforms. I think there's a lot of push and money behind certain sports
mm,
that you're gonna see a lot of in 2025. I mean, a lot, and YouTube is really monetizing them at a very high level. So I think that's super
mm.
interesting.
Interesting.
Um, and then I think you're going to see a shift as well. And like, I don't know the company or necessarily how it's going to work, but I think there's going to be new ways for creators to monetize in 2025. I've heard of a couple, and we're starting to work on a couple. But just different businesses that are huge, billion or trillion-dollar companies that really want to get creators on board their platform, whether it's in the
Yeah.
gaming niche or like the social media platforms. Just there's certain platforms that are really putting budget this year into getting creators onto their platform and using their softwares, and there's a lot of revenue that's going to go towards creators from that. So hopefully
Awesome.
that's
Such a great answer.
sauce.
Yeah, and I feel like one of the things that I absolutely love, and you just proving that my point on that is that once you get to a certain level and you get certain doors open, then it's way easier to predict what's going to happen because suddenly you're with the people that are working on those changes. And I guess that I want to pivot for in these last minutes of our conversation for like your approach to being a young entrepreneur, I guess. And I guess that my first question is networking 101. Like
I feel like we
if
need more than 4 minutes,
someone,
Joel. I'll be honest.
okay, well that's perfect. So if you have someone that's like, okay, I want to be like Braden, I want to, and not
Yeah.
like Braden as in like I want to have the same business as he's having, but I'm like I want to be around these big sharks on
Yeah,
whatever
100%.
industry it is. Like, what are some of the advices that you can say to those people?
I would say, are you sure? That would be my first question. No,
Why?
I would say, are you sure? Just because, like, it's like it almost reminds me of like a TikTok meme or like an Instagram meme where it's like, it's like 5 years of suffering for like 95 years of amazing, or 90 whatever the chart is. It's like you spend all this time now kind of in the trenches working for an amazing life, or you party for the next 20 years and then you have 80 years of a kind of mediocre life, right?
Yeah.
So I have the path where it's like I'm going fucking insane every day. Like, I mean, I'm just working every day. I'm not taking breaks. I'm not taking. I don't know when I took a vacation. Like maybe last summer. But it's just like it's nonstop grinding, right? And like most kids want to party. Most kids want to do drugs. Most kids want to drink alcohol. I don't touch any of that, right? I've never touched any of that in my life, which is crazy. And like I'm 6 days away from 18 years sober, right? I mean, I look at it that way. Like, I mean, I'm a nerd in that way.
God,
Um,
I wish.
but I'll celebrate my 18-year sobriety in 6 days. But I mean, look, a lot of people don't want to do that, right? They want to like go get a girlfriend and fuck off, or they want to, you know, not put time into a business. So I mean, my biggest piece of advice would be like, make sure this is what you want, because if you like parties or if you like that stuff, this is not for you. Like
Yep.
if you have such a high level of like fear of missing out, or like you really like all you want in life is like all you're motivated is by girls, which like that's chill. Like if that's what you want to do, like high school and college and all that, like go do that, that's fine. um but I mean, the first thing I'd say is like make sure this is you, like make sure this is what you really
Yeah.
want to do, and like you're all in, because it's just like anything else, you're either all in or you're all out. Like you're not gonna be successful if you're not all in. Like 99% of businesses fail, something like that. And most of the businesses, like the founders aren't all in. Like if you think about it that way, like they're thinking about other things. They're not fully focused. Like they're not fully locked in. Like I believe your business can and will be successful if you're all in. Like physically, mentally, spiritually, like all in, because what that means is like if you're all in, Joel, like the business can't fucking fail. Like it just cannot
Yeah.
fail. Like you will find another revenue source. You will knock on doors to make the business profitable. You'll find an investor. Like you're not going to let the business go bankrupt. So my biggest piece of advice is just like make sure that is you, and make sure that you need to have that extreme passion. And then when it comes down to like building the business and finding the opportunity, look at what's working. Like see the other people that are your age and that are like building a successful business, and reach out to them. Like like email them, DM them. Like it's never been easier to connect with successful people. You have something called Instagram, you can DM them. Like most of these entrepreneurs aren't famous. Like they usually aren't famous. Like the guys that like own, I don't know who owns Kalshi. Like it could be someone super famous, but like I don't know who owns any of these crypto coins. Like I don't. Like I don't think a lot of people know. Like except for like Ethereum or Binance or like these huge
Yeah.
companies. Like you can DM them on Instagram. Like it's a LinkedIn search away. So it's like I would just be, if I want to start a business, I would fucking spam all the people that are successful on DM, email. If you try to get their phone number, call them. Like just go crazy. Figure out, try to get a call with one of them. Try to get as much info from them on like what they think works, what they think doesn't work, and then kind of kill, copy, optimize. Like I always say KCO, which is kill what's not working for them, which they hate about the crypto business or whatever business you're trying to get into. Copy parts from different businesses that you like, and then optimize the rest. Like figure out, hey, I'm with, stealing like an artist is, there's 5 different businesses in different niches. I want to combine these aspects and make this business. That's how everything started, right? Like,
Hmm.
Apple looks oddly similar to Samsung, right?
Yeah.
and it's the same fucking tech a lot of the times.
Yeah.
But it's just because Apple's a genius at marketing, right? And they sell a luxury good or a luxury product, or like, you feel special buying an iPhone, where, the people that buy iPhones, they don't feel special buying Samsung. They just don't. Like,
Yeah.
people that love Apple just love Apple. Um, and so, I mean, that's my biggest sauce right there. I think a lot of it just comes down to knowing your personality, and knowing if you want to be an employee or an employer, right?
Hmm. Yeah. And I feel like part of also what what's part of that journey, like as you were saying, it's like, well, you know maybe not as you were saying, but like in your own journey, where it's like, okay, maybe I go work at this company and I'll do it for a couple of months so I can learn, so I can have mentors, so I can understand, but then I'm off to build my own thing, which I feel like it's like it's a good thing, actually, like, in at least in my view, where it's like you're trying to set up a business, and then maybe you fail, or maybe you didn't do well as you expected, or you kind of did, but like, it's like, if I want to become like the next level when it comes to entrepreneurship, or if I want to like grow, I need to work with people that are way better than me, and you kind of go there for a bit, and then you come back with all of that knowledge, which I feel like it's amazing. And yeah, that was a great answer. Walk me through a day in your life, and I know that probably every day is different. So I guess that my question would be like, what would be the most common repeatable day that you have? Like, walk me through that day.
So, to be honest, like, obviously this isn't every day, but I'd say like the average day for me is, go to bed at, 11 or 12, and, I'll wake up at 4:30 or 5 a.m. and I'll go straight to my morning routine, which is I do some meditation, and then straight into I do a cold plunge, and then cold plunge probably like, I don't know, 15 minutes or so, and then after
Ah,
that I try to read like, I don't know, maybe like 40 pages of a book, and then, yeah, I mean, straight into deep work for a couple hours from like, let's say 4:30 to 7:30 a.m. And 7:30 a.m. I'll go do a workout for like maybe like an hour and a half or so. And then that where would that be, 9 a.m.
weight
9 a.m. I'll
training,
have,
cardio. Like, what's the
yeah, like
weight
I do
training?
a, yeah, so I do like some like kind of a mixture of
Got it.
like marathon training, with
Got it.
so like just like intense cardio. Like I'll be on the
High
treadmill maybe
cardio.
like,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah, maybe like an hour on the treadmill. And then I'll do 30 minutes of intense weight training. I have like a whole setup where it's almost like elements of like an American Ninja Warrior rig. So I do that as well. And so I do like weight
Fuck.
training with that. So it's just, it's, yeah, it's cool. So I do that, and then I go straight into deep work for about 3 hours. So that's like, nine. That's like 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. And then, I've already had my protein shake in the morning, which is great. And then I'll go out, and I'll usually, I'll drive over to get some sushi. Usually like 1 p.m. or 1:30 p.m. I get some sushi, just because I'm a big proponent of like, protein and rice. So I'll either do chicken and rice or sushi and rice. Oh, fuck. I'll do protein and rice or sushi and rice. So usually sushi like most days of the week, and then maybe I'll switch it up and have to do like steak one day. Um, but so I'll do that for lunch, and then I do like my afternoon cardio. So I'll go back outside for like maybe 45 minutes to an hour, just do like some like hill sprints near my house. And then, yeah, I mean, go back into meetings until, let's say, 10 p.m., and then I'll have, just another, usually like a poke bowl or something, with a protein shake, poke bowl and a protein shake, and then I'll knock out, and then,
After sleep.
I wake back up at 4:30 a.m.
Yeah, that's exactly what I thought that your day looked like. So awesome. I really enjoyed the part though where you said like sushi and rice. I'm assuming that sushi already has rice, but
Yeah,
I'm not a
yeah.
nutritionist, so
I
it's
get
fine.
extra rice. I get extra
You
rice
get
just
extra
because,
rice, yeah.
yeah, just because I'm trying to increase my sodium.
Exactly. Got it. Yeah, no, but that's perfect. So I guess that one of the things that I really love about you is the fact that a lot of people, when they have like this position of management, and I guess that this
Yeah,
is like the last serious question, and then we can just fuck off or chat for a bit. But like,
yeah, of course.
when people have like this management position or this consulting position, a lot of times these are people that haven't done the actual work, where they're only at a consulting position. And one of the things that I absolutely love about you is the fact that, maybe you're helping people that have like millions of followers, but you also have your own page. You also go out and record content. You also go out and test the strategies that you're sharing with your clients. And I guess that, I feel like it's not just a question, but it's a comment on your integrity. And I feel like that's something that's pretty fucking rare when it comes to like business I mean, I'm not going to say business in general, but especially like teenagers when they have a business, because a lot of teenagers, they're like, well, I want to make money, so I'll just do drop shipping or something like that. Then they don't realize how much work it is to set up like a drop shipping account. And so yeah, like, and I really like appreciate you being so, so honest and so down to earth. And I guess that leads me to the last question. I don't know if you know this, but you're a meme between like the last year's cohort. Like a lot of people, when I meet with them, like people when they're turning off the call, they're like, well, God bless you, brother, God bless you, brother, which is basically something
Really?
that you said. Yeah, because in our last class you were eating at some kind of fucking restaurant, but you're like, no, but I want to be in class at the same time. You were leaving, and you just kept screaming to the microphone, God bless you, brother, God bless you, everyone, thank you, have a great day, God bless you,
Oh
God.
my god.
And so right now people still, when we're finishing calls, they're like, God bless you, brother, God bless you, just like you. So I guess that my last question is like, what's your relationship with God and with spirituality? Is that something that you focus on, or is it
Yeah, yeah,
something
yeah,
that
yeah.
makes no sense to you? Tell me.
Yeah, no, no, no. So no, that's a great question. I think that, I feel like I've gotten a lot closer to God, just in general. Going through, I've gone through a lot. You know what I mean? Like I've had such great experiences, in the last 2 years, or 3 years, but I've gone through a lot of like dark shit, and like that'll I'll probably write a book like at some point, about stuff. But I mean, having my grandpa's in hospice, where he's like on the border, on the brink of dying at any moment. So dealing with that, and then there's just been other stuff that's been like really brutal, like just shit you don't want to like have to see or deal with.
Yeah.
So just high levels of intense stuff. So I mean, I think that if nothing else, right, like that's going to bring you towards, realizing there's a higher power and bring you closer to God. So for me, um, just giving, I try to give power to God. I don't necessarily know what that means. Like, I'm Jewish by, by family, but I don't necessarily pray to like a certain, I pray to God, right? Like
Yeah.
I don't necessarily like call that God Judaism or Christianity or anything. Like I just kind of have a God, and I try to give over, pressure and situations that, I'm not in control of, and give him the power, right? Like, I try to give him, the rock off my shoulder at some points where,
Yeah.
I know he'll make the right decision, and that there's certain things that just are not in my control,
Hmm.
and I think that's a powerful place to get to, and I was not there for a while. And as someone who, I get anxious at points, it's
Yeah.
uh it's important to, have a higher power and have someone to help kind of carry the load with you,
Yeah.
at dark points and at points that, are difficult.
Yeah. Dude, that's such a great answer. And the reason why, because I feel like a lot of the people, and it's something that I wanted to explore, and I feel like you did it beautiful with that answer. I feel like a lot of people, even people that, like people that were part of our cohort last year, like there's this idea that you have the perfect life, and I know that you have a great life, but it's like, and I've always tried to say that, even if someone is going through the best things in life, and it has an amazing life, that doesn't mean that they're not dark shit happening, or like darker periods. And I appreciate the vulnerability of you saying that, which I feel like it's a great example for like the people that you want to help and impress, like especially teenagers, where they're like, well, if I'm not always living like this life of, extreme happiness, I might be doing something wrong. It's no, no, not at all. Like you have, like it's the valley. It's like top. I had a friend that said top of the mountain, bottom of the ocean. That's how we live, and it's like, and it's part of what it's like to build anything that's worth building. So thank you for that answer. Okay,
Yeah,
dude.
100%. I think. Oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah, go ahead. No, no, no. Go ahead.
No, oh, yeah. I was just gonna say, I think that's a common, that's a common
Misconception.
theme. Yeah, misconception, right? Because, um, I mean, look, Instagram, social media is it's just a portrait of like your smiliest, happiest photo.
Yeah.
That's what it is, right? That's all it is. Of me like with a cool watch I got, or me,
Mm,
getting a car, or me doing something cool or flashy or whatever it is, and I fall
yeah.
victim to that, right? Like, all right, I fall to blame for doing that, but I think that's just part of the image everyone puts up, and I'm not going to show the negative dark times, but I think
Yeah.
everyone's going through stuff, and yeah, I mean, look, I think I'm extremely grateful and blessed for my position. And I do have an amazing and lucky and amazing life, but I think everyone deals with family stuff, and it's tough. It's always tough to see a loved one go through
Yeah.
a time of sickness, for sure.
Yeah. Perfect. Well, dude, thank you so much. I mean, I think that it's a beautiful place for us to end our conversation. If people want to know more about you, if people want to reach out to you, if people want to follow your work, what's the best place that they can do so?
Yeah, so I mean, there's a couple ways. One is, so my Instagram is at ITSBAEBAKR, at it's Bay Baker. We could like probably like put text somewhere saying that, I don't know. But so that's my Instagram, and then my website is blackermedia.co, BLACKERMEDIA.co. So we literally have a Calendly there, and we have a email there. So either way works. Like, you message me there, I'll get back to you, or you message me. Probably, honestly, message me on Instagram, I'll get back to you. And yeah, literally ask me anything. I'm here to help with however I can with your entrepreneurial journey or content creation journey. So let me know.
Beautiful. Braden, thank you so much, everyone. Go and follow Braden. As you can see, he's such a cool dude. And it's so easy to forget that you're 17. You know about turn 18. So if this
Yeah,
is probably will be out, like once this is out, you're probably already 18. So
for
congratulations,
sure.
future Braden. And yeah, man, it was so nice to meet you. And that's it. To everyone watching, go follow Braden, and also subscribe to the YouTube channel. Follow us on Spotify, Apple, or any place that you get your podcast on. Leave some reviews, comment, and share with your friends, so we can keep doing this and bringing more people into the show. Braden, thank you so much. Everyone else, bye bye. Thank you.
Yes, sir.